Breathing is one of the most overlooked areas of fitness that we really need to start focusing on. And as people start to understand the body more, Western and Eastern philosophies are starting to blend themselves together. And we're starting to understand that the body doesn't just tighten the core from the outside in, it also tightens from the inside out. So there's this process whereby which when we think about the core, we usually think about the muscles from the outside squeezing in like a girdle and pulling everything in. But what we forget is that without pressure pushing outward, we would just crush our guts. So there's this process by which the body fills the abdomen with air and creates pressure from the inside out, and that creates stability through your spine, through your core, and lets everything open up. So here's a simple drill that I want you to start working on, and this should be done every time you're in between exercises. So breathing is something we need to work on all the time. So first off, when you start breathing, make sure you work on breathing in between your exercises. Just when you're in between, think about working on abdominal breathing as opposed to shoulder breathing. Here's how you'll do it. First off, recognize the way you breathe. Just stand and breathe comfortably. And if you notice that when you breathe, you increase the shoulders, raise the shoulders, like that, then you're primarily a shoulder breather. If you breathe and you notice that you get some expansion through your sides, it may be to the front, maybe to the sides, whatever. If you get expansion down here, then you're mainly an abdominal breather. Breathing through your abdomen or allowing your diaphragm to actually work is what allows some of the muscles around your neck and shoulders to actually relax and strengthen. So here's what we'll do. Take your hands, put them right on your rib cage. These bottom ribs right here are floating ribs, which means they're made out of cartilage, so they're designed to open up. So we have you put your hands on your rib cage, and this one you'll probably be laying on your back, but you can do it standing too. So I want you to exhale completely. And as you do, you'll notice that your fingertips will touch. So when all your air is out of your lungs, your fingertips should be touching. When you inhale, your fingertips should separate from each other. And that's your hands riding on the floating ribs. So you exhale completely. Ribs float in. Inhale. Ribs float out. Exhale. Inhale. So that's how you're going to work on your diaphragm breathing. When you first start out, you're going to want to do this for a couple minutes every day. Start out with 2 minutes in the morning and 2 minutes at night right before you go to bed. If you feel sleepy, that's a good thing. If you feel like you're relaxing, that's a good thing. If you feel a little bit lightheaded, those are all good things. And the first thing you want to do is as you breathe, work on just being able to separate those fingertips. Separate, close, separate, close. Once you feel like you've redirected your breathing into your abdomen, then you can do it less often. But when you're sitting down in a car trying to relax, when you're stretching, when you're doing a stability strength exercise as opposed to a strength exercise, we can talk about that in future videos. Those are all times you want to be breathing. Also, anytime you're in between exercise sets and you have a few moments to just stand there, don't just stand there, use it as an opportunity to work on your breathing muscles. The way that this works is your diaphragm is actually an upside down U-shaped muscle, or rather it's stretched into this position up into your chest cavity. So when it's relaxed, it actually starts at the rib and comes all the way up and then attaches like this in a big upside down shape. It's like a dome. It separates your lung cavity from your abdominal cavity. When you breathe, that muscle starts to contract and it actually contracts downward and pushes down towards your abdomen. That's how your lungs work. It'll create a negative pressure through your lungs and allow the lungs to start expanding, and then by default air will rush in because you've created a negative pressure and allow you to breathe. Other muscles into your neck and different parts of your rib cage can work as accessory breathing muscles. So if you start to run, as an example, and you start to pant really hard, these muscles can work harder. And those are fine. Those are fine to work. They should be working, but they should be secondary muscles. So if you're in a position where you're constantly walking around like this all the time and restricting your abdomen, then these things are on overdrive and you have a higher tendency of having neck spasms or neck cramps or anything like that. This will naturally allow the muscles in the fronts of your hips and the fronts of your neck to be able to naturally relax and contract. Interestingly enough, the psoas muscle, which is attached to the top of your leg and then all the way up into your hips, runs through the bottom part of the diaphragm, which means that if your diaphragm doesn't work, maybe it's weak because you don't use it, maybe it's dysfunctional and stiff, again, because you don't use it, then by just allowing yourself to actually breathe, you can relax your psoas muscles and relax your neck and help everything to open up. So give those a whirl, focus on breathing on a regular basis, and always breathe when you do stretching. You should never get to a point where you're holding your breath, and allow everything to open up.